Fellow gardeners, let me share something that completely revolutionized my approach to growing food and flowers, the day I built my first raised bed. I remember standing in my backyard, frustrated with compacted clay soil that seemed to reject every seed I planted, when my neighbor suggested I try raised bed gardening. That single conversation changed everything about how I garden, and today I'm going to walk you through the exact 5-step process that has helped thousands of Soilsage Chronicles viewers create thriving raised bed gardens. The location of your raised bed will make or break your gardening success, and I've seen too many enthusiastic gardeners skip this crucial step only to wonder why their plants struggle. Your raised bed needs a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily for most vegetables and herbs. I learned this the hard way when I placed my first bed in what I thought was a sunny spot, only to realize a large oak tree cast shadows for most of the afternoon. Walk around your potential locations throughout an entire day, noting where shadows fall at different times. Pay special attention to the late afternoon sun, which is often the most intense and beneficial for plant growth. Morning sun is gentle and helps dry dew from leaves, reducing disease problems, while afternoon sun provides the energy plants need for robust growth and fruit production. Drainage is equally critical. Raised beds naturally provide better drainage than ground-level gardens, but starting with a location that doesn't collect standing water will save you headaches later. Avoid low-lying areas where water pools after rain, and consider the natural slope of your yard. Access to water cannot be overstated in its importance. I've watched gardeners abandon otherwise perfect raised beds because watering became a chore involving long hose runs or multiple trips with watering cans. Position your beds within easy reach of a water source, ideally where you can run a soaker hose or install drip irrigation without crossing walkways or other obstacles. Consider the practical aspects of maintenance too. You'll need to access all sides of your bed for planting, weeding, and harvesting. Ensure there's enough space around each bed for you to work comfortably with tools and a wheelbarrow. I recommend at least 3 feet between beds, though 4 feet is even better if space allows. Here's where many gardeners get carried away with enthusiasm and create beds that become maintenance nightmares. The golden rule for raised bed width is this: you should be able to reach the center of the bed from either side without stepping into it. For most people, this means keeping beds no wider than 4 feet. I've found that 3.5 feet works perfectly for my reach, allowing me to tend every plant without compacting the soil. Length is more flexible and depends on your available space and materials. Standard lumber lengths of 8, 10, or 12 feet work well and minimize waste. However, consider breaking very long beds into sections with paths between them. A 20-foot-long bed might seem efficient, but walking around it constantly becomes tedious during daily maintenance. Height deserves careful consideration based on your specific needs and crops. A bed 8 to 12 inches high works well for most vegetables and provides enough soil depth for healthy root development. If you're growing root vegetables like carrots, parsnips, or daikon radishes, consider 12 to 18 inches to accommodate their deep growth habits. For gardeners with mobility issues, or those who prefer not to bend, beds 24 to 30 inches high create a comfortable working height. Think about your soil volume needs when planning height. Each additional inch of height across a 4 by 8 foot bed requires approximately 2.7 cubic feet more soil. This adds up quickly in both cost and effort, so plan thoughtfully rather than simply building as high as possible. Shape affects both function and aesthetics. Rectangular beds are efficient and easy to build, but don't overlook curved or geometric shapes if they better suit your landscape design. I've seen beautiful kidney-shaped beds that follow natural contours and L-shaped beds that maximize corner spaces. The key is ensuring you can still reach all areas for maintenance. The material choice for your raised bed will impact both its longevity and your long-term satisfaction with the project. Cedar and redwood remain the gold standards for wooden raised beds due to their natural rot resistance. Yes, they cost more initially, but I'm still using cedar beds I built 8 years ago, while I've seen pressure-treated pine beds fail in half that time. If budget is a primary concern, untreated pine or fir can work, but expect to replace boards every 3 to 4 years. Some gardeners embrace this shorter lifespan, viewing it as an opportunity to reconfigure their garden layout regularly. Whatever wood you choose, avoid anything treated with chemicals, especially older pressure-treated lumber that may contain harmful preservatives. Composite materials offer excellent longevity and require minimal maintenance. While the upfront cost is higher, many composite boards come with 20 to 25-year warranties. They won't warp, split, or rot, and they maintain their appearance with minimal care. The main drawbacks are higher initial cost and less natural aesthetics that some gardeners prefer. Metal raised beds, particularly those made from corrugated steel or aluminum, have gained popularity for good reasons. They're extremely durable, often lasting decades with proper installation. Steel beds heat up more than wood, which can be beneficial in cooler climates but may require more frequent watering in hot areas. Aluminum doesn't have this heat issue but typically costs more. Stone, brick, or concrete block beds offer the ultimate in longevity and can be beautiful landscape features. They require more initial labor and skill to install properly, but they'll outlast any other material. The thermal mass of stone can help moderate soil temperature swings, benefiting plant roots. Consider the hardware you'll need regardless of material choice. Galvanized carriage bolts, brackets, or specialized connectors ensure strong corners that won't separate over time. Corner brackets specifically designed for raised beds eliminate the need for complex joinery and create strong, long-lasting connections. A proper foundation separates successful raised beds from those that become crooked, unstable problems within a few seasons. Start by marking your bed location with spray paint or flour, then remove any existing vegetation. You don't need to dig deep, but clearing grass and weeds prevents them from growing up through your bed later. Level the ground more carefully than you might think necessary. Even small variations in ground level will become pronounced once your bed is installed and filled with soil. Use a long level or string line to check for level across the entire footprint. If your yard has significant slope, you may need to cut into the high side and build up the low side to create a level foundation. For permanent installations, consider digging a shallow trench around the perimeter, about 2 to 3 inches deep. This helps anchor the first course of materials and prevents the bed from shifting over time. In areas with freeze-thaw cycles, this slight below-ground placement helps prevent frost heaving. The assembly process varies by material, but some principles apply universally. Build on a flat surface when possible, even if it means assembling elsewhere and moving the completed frame. This ensures square corners and proper alignment that's difficult to achieve when building in place on uneven ground. For wooden beds, pre-drill all holes to prevent splitting, especially near board ends. Use galvanized or stainless steel hardware to prevent rust stains and ensure longevity. When connecting corners, carriage bolts provide much stronger connections than screws alone, though they require access to both sides of the joint. Check for square by measuring diagonals. They should be equal if your bed is properly square. A bed that's out of square will be obvious once it's filled and planted, and it may not fit properly against fences or other structures as planned. The soil you put in your raised bed is perhaps the most important investment you'll make in your garden's success. Resist the temptation to simply fill it with the cheapest available dirt or worse, excavated soil from elsewhere in your yard. Raised bed gardening's primary advantage is giving you complete control over your growing medium, so take advantage of this opportunity. A proven mix that I've refined over years of testing consists of roughly 1/3 compost, 1/3 peat moss or coconut coir, and 1/3 vermiculite or perlite. This combination provides excellent drainage while retaining adequate moisture, offers rich nutrition through the compost, and maintains a light, fluffy texture that roots love. The compost component is crucial. This is where much of your plant's nutrition comes from. Well-aged compost should smell earthy and pleasant, not sour or ammonia-like. If you're purchasing compost, ask about its source and aging process. Mushroom compost, while excellent, can be quite alkaline and may need pH adjustment for acid-loving plants. Peat moss has fallen from favor with some gardeners due to environmental concerns about peat bog harvesting. Coconut coir provides similar water retention and soil structure benefits while being a renewable resource. Both help create the moisture-retentive yet well-draining environment that most vegetables prefer. The vermiculite or perlite component provides drainage and prevents soil compaction. Vermiculite holds more water and nutrients than perlite, making it better for plants that prefer consistent moisture. Perlite drains more freely and works well for Mediterranean herbs and other plants that prefer drier conditions. Calculate your soil volume needs carefully before ordering. A 4 by 8 foot bed that's 12 inches high requires 32 cubic feet of soil. Most bagged soil mixes come in 1.5 or 2 cubic foot bags, so this bed would need 16 to 21 bags depending on the bag size. Bulk soil is often more economical for larger projects and typically provides better quality than bagged mixes. Consider adding a slow-release organic fertilizer to your initial soil mix. This provides nutrients throughout the first growing season while your plants establish. Fish meal, kelp meal, or composted chicken manure work well and won't burn sensitive seedlings like some synthetic fertilizers might. After filling your bed, water it thoroughly and allow it to settle for a few days before planting. The soil level will drop as it settles, and you may need to add more mix to reach your desired level. This settling period also helps identify any drainage issues before you plant. Creating a raised bed garden using these 5 steps will transform not just your growing space, but your entire relationship with gardening. I've seen gardeners go from frustrated failures to confident growers simply by taking control of their soil environment and creating the optimal conditions for plant success. Remember, gardening is a journey of continuous learning and improvement. Your first raised bed might not be perfect, but it will be infinitely better than struggling with poor soil conditions. Each season will teach you something new about your plant's needs and your local growing conditions. The investment you make in properly designing and building your raised beds will pay dividends for years to come. Well-built beds last decades, improve with age as soil biology develops, and become more productive each season as you fine-tune your growing techniques. If this guide has inspired you to start your raised bed journey, I'd love to hear about your project. Subscribe to Soilsage Chronicles for more in-depth gardening guidance, and share this article with fellow gardeners who are ready to take their growing to the next level. Your garden transformation starts with that first shovel of soil, and I can't wait to see what you grow.